Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving straight into something pretty universal, I think.
Definitely.
Whether it's, planning a huge trip across the globe or maybe just a weekend away somewhere nearby.
Right.
We're talking about travel and specifically how to talk about it in English.
Yeah, we've looked at some really practical stuff from an English learning podcast, one that focuses on everyday conversation.
And our goal today is pretty simple, really.
Yeah.
We want to equip you with the words, the phrases, the useful bits you need to chat about your own travels or understand others with, more confidence. Make it feel natural.
Exactly. Think of it like a shortcut, maybe. A way to feel ready when travel comes up. Someone starts telling you about their holiday or you're thinking about your next one.
Okay, so let's unpack what we've got lined up.
Sounds good.
We'll kick off with some essential travel vocabulary, words you just hear all the time.
Must-knows.
Exactly. Then we'll look at some common phrases, the kind of things people actually say that make the conversation flow.
Make it sound less like reading from a textbook.
Right. Here we've even got a little example travel chat to illustrate how it works.
And some practice dialogue, too.
Yep, and pronunciation, that's key.
Yeah.
So we'll tackle a few specific words that can sometimes be a bit tricky.
Good idea.
And finally, we'll wrap up with a weekly challenge to get you actually using this stuff.
Putting it into practice.
Ready to get started on this journey.
Absolutely. So this core vocabulary, it's amazing how knowing just a few key terms really opens things up, doesn't it?
It really does.
Let's start with itinerary. So an itinerary is basically your travel plan, your schedule.
Okay, like the day-by-day plan.
Yeah, or just the overall outline. You might say, for example, I emailed you our itinerary. It includes flights, hotels, and tours. It's the blueprint for the trip.
Got it. Blueprint. And speaking of flights, you often hear about a layover.
Yes, layovers.
That's that stop between flights, right? Not your final destination,
Yeah.
but a pause on the way.
Exactly. We have a 3-hour layover in Dubai before our final destination. Just that time waiting at an intermediate airport.
Right. And after a really long flight, especially if you're crossing time zones.
Oh, you get that lovely feeling. Jet lag.
Ugh, yeah. That tiredness, your sleep schedule's all messed up.
Mm-hmm. You might say, I was so jet lagged after flying to New York. Your body's just not caught up yet.
Takes a few days sometimes. Okay, so you've arrived. You're fighting the jet lag. What do? Probably some sightseeing.
Right. Visiting the tourist spots, the famous places.
We spent the whole day sightseeing around Rome. Pretty straightforward, that one.
Yeah, seeing the sights. Now, for a totally different way of traveling, there's backpacking.
Ah, okay. So this is more roughing it, maybe.
Often, yeah. Usually means traveling with just a backpack, often trying to save money, maybe staying in hostels.
Like you hear about people doing gap years.
Exactly. She spent the summer backpacking across Southeast Asia. It implies a certain independence, maybe more adventure.
Okay. And then the other end of the spectrum, perhaps. Yeah. All-inclusive.
Right. That's where your hotel package includes, pretty much everything. Food, drinks.
So you pay one price up front.
Generally, yeah. We stayed at an all-inclusive resort. It was so convenient. People like it because you don't have to keep pulling your wallet out once you're there.
I can see the appeal. Makes things easy.
Mm-hmm. Now, what if you want to avoid the crowds? Avoid the typical tourist traps.
You go off the beaten path.
Exactly. You look for places that aren't the main tourist destinations.
So maybe finding a little local restaurant down a side street.
Perfect example. Or visiting a smaller town. We found this amazing village that was really off the beaten path. It suggests something more unique, maybe more authentic.
I like that idea. And then there's the big dreams. The bucket list.
Ah, the bucket list. Everyone's got one, right?
I think so. These are those experiences you absolutely want to have before you. Well,
Kick the bucket, yeah. So for travel, it's those must-do things. Seeing the Northern Lights is on my bucket list. Or climbing Machu Picchu, or whatever it is.
Those big life goals tied to travel. Okay, nearly there with the vocab. Travel light.
Pretty self-explanatory, this one.
Just packing the minimum. Right?
Yeah, only what's necessary. I like to travel light. Just one carry-on is enough. Avoids checked bag fees. Easier to get around.
Makes sense. And finally, maybe my favorite part of travel. Local cuisine.
Oh, definitely a highlight for many. It's just the traditional food of the place you're visiting.
You have to try it, don't you?
Absolutely. Trying local cuisine is one of my favorite things when I travel. So yeah, knowing these words helps you understand what people are talking about, but also talk about your own experiences,
Totally. It gives you the building blocks for the conversation.
Precisely. So, okay, we've got the words. Now, how about the phrases? The things that make it sound like, well, like you actually talk.
Yeah, the conversational glue, almost. Let's dive into some common ones. And some of these are, well, pretty familiar, I think.
Mm.
Like on a long car journey, maybe with kids in the back.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Are we there yet?
The classic, often said with a bit of a whine.
Exactly. But it's a super common question on any long trip, really.
Then there's that moment you arrive somewhere or see an amazing view.
You just go, this place is breathtaking.
Yeah, it means it's incredibly beautiful, amazing, stunning, takes your breath away.
Nice. What if it's just a quick trip?
You might say, I'm just here for the weekend. Simple, clear, sets the context.
Okay. And when you're in a new city, feeling adventurous.
Let's go explore.
I like that one. That's an invitation, right?
Yeah.
Let's just wander and see what we find.
Exactly. And sometimes when you're exploring, you might lose your way a bit.
But maybe that's not a bad thing.
Right. That's where we're lost, but in a good way, comes in.
Okay, so you're off the map, but you're discovering cool stuff.
Yeah, enjoying the serendipity of it, not stressed about being lost.
I've definitely had that happen.
Mm.
Sometimes the best finds are accidental.
Now, travel can be amazing, but also tiring.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you pack too much in.
Right. So you get back and you jokingly say, I need a vacation from my vacation.
Yes. Because you're exhausted from all the fun and sightseeing.
Exactly. It was great, but phew, time to recover.
Okay, what about an experience that was maybe difficult or expensive, but you're glad you did it?
Then you'd say, it was totally worth it.
Like climbing a mountain was hard, but the view.
Totally worth it. Or maybe a fancy meal was pricey, but delicious. Worth it. It acknowledges the challenge, but emphasizes the reward.
Got it. And finally, what happens when you travel once or twice and just can't stop?
Ah, you've caught the travel bug.
So it's like an illness, but a good one.
Kind of. It just means you've developed a real love for traveling, a strong desire to do it more and more.
Okay, these phrases definitely add some personality, don't they?
Yeah, they make it sound much more natural, more relatable than just sticking to factual descriptions.
So to kind of see this in action, we have a little mini travel chat example.
Right, just to show how these words and phrases might actually pop up.
So imagine two people chatting. Let's call them A and B.
Yeah.
A asks B about travel style, like, do you prefer going solo or with a group?
Okay.
And A says, well, solo is great for freedom, but group trips can be easier, less planning, shared fun. B says maybe a mix is good.
Uh-huh. Sounds like a normal chat.
Then they talk favorite places.
Yeah.
A picks Japan loves the food, the culture, that mix of old and new.
Good choice.
B goes for Iceland, mentions the amazing, like, otherworldly landscape.
Oh, yeah. Iceland's incredible.
And B specifically says seeing the northern lights there was unforgettable, a real bucket list item ticked off.
Ah, see, there it is. Bucket list.
Exactly. So you can hear how things like solo travel, group trips, maybe talking about local cuisine implicitly with Japan, and definitely bucket list just fit right in.
And you can imagine them using phrases like breathtaking for Iceland's landscapes, maybe.
For sure. It flows naturally.
That's the key. It doesn't sound forced.
Okay, so building on that, let's try a little sample dialogue practice. This is like a typical conversation after someone gets back from a trip.
Yeah, a quick catch-up. This is great for seeing how concise these chats can be while still using the language.
Okay, so person A starts. How was your trip?
And B replies, amazing. We went sightseeing every day and tried so much local cuisine.
A says, sounds perfect. Did you travel light or bring everything?
B laughs, maybe, and says, I tried to travel light, but you know me, too many souvenirs.
A, classic. Did you have any jet lag after the flight back?
And B finishes, totally. I needed a vacation for my vacation.
See? It's short, sweet, but look what's in there.
Yeah, you've got sightseeing, local cuisine, travel light, souvenirs, jet lag, and that vacation from my vacation phrase.
All packed into just a few lines.
It really shows how useful this vocabulary is for everyday chats about travel. Doesn't have to be a long, detailed story every time.
Exactly. Very typical exchange.
And
Okay, now, pronunciation. This can make a big difference in feeling understood, right?
huge difference. Getting these common words clear really helps communication flow smoothly. We've got the phonetic transcriptions, which can look a bit intimidating, but they guide the sounds.
Let's try them. First one, itinerary.
Right, that's soisantan, .rare, .I, itinerary. Notice the stress is on the tin part. I-T-I-N-R.
Itinerary. Okay, next, layover.
That one's Ursula. Layover. Two clear parts. Layover.
Layover. Got it. Then jet lag.
Nice and short.
Yeah.
Solely. Jet lag, two distinct words, stressed pretty evenly. Jet.
Jet lag. Okay. How about sightseeing?
Sightseeing. Again, you can kind of hear the two parts. Sightseeing.
Sightseeing makes sense. Ooh, the food word.
Cuisine. Cuisine. Note the Q sound at the start and the stress on the second syllable. Cuisine.
Cuisine. Yeah. And those things you buy to remember the trip. Souvenir.
This one often trips people up. It's souvenir. Souvenir. The stress is right at the end. Souvenir.
Souvenir. Okay. Practicing those out loud definitely helps.
Absolutely. Just saying them a few times helps lock it in. And honestly, feeling confident you're saying these common words right makes a big difference to how comfortable you feel speaking.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, so we have covered a fair bit today in our deep dive. Vocabulary, phrases, pronunciation.
Built a nice little toolkit.
We did. So now it's time to actually use it. Time for our weekly challenge.
Right. This is the crucial part, taking it from passive listening to active use.
Okay, your challenge for this week is describe your dream vacation in English.
Ooh, fun one.
Yeah. Let your imagination go wild. Where would you go? What would you do?
Relaxing on a beach, backpacking, a city break. Who with all those details?
And the key part of the challenge.
Right. Try to weave in at least, let's say, 3 of the vocabulary words we discussed, like itinerary, sightseeing, off the beaten path, bucket list, local cuisine, any 3.
And also try to use at least 2 of the travel experience.
Like breathtaking, totally worth it. Caught the travel bug, let's go explore.
Exactly. How you do it is up to you. You could record yourself talking about it. Great for fluency practice.
Or just write it down in a notebook or a document.
The main thing is to actively construct those sentences yourself. You know, maybe your dream trip involves finally doing something that's been on your bucket list or going somewhere totally off the beaten path.
Yeah, have fun with it. It really helps solidify the language, moving it into your active vocabulary.
Definitely. So just to quickly recap our deep dive on talking travel.
We hit those essential words: itinerary, layover, jet lag, sightseeing, backpacking, all-inclusive, off the beaten path, bucket list, travel light, and local cuisine.
We looked at those handy phrases that add flavor like, are we there yet? This place is breathtaking. I need a vacation from my vacation and I got the travel bug.
Saw how they fit into conversations with the mini chat and the sample dialogue.
And we tackled the pronunciation of key terms like itinerary, cuisine, and souvenir.
And the whole point, really, is that travel comes up all the time in conversation.
It really does.
So having these tools makes you much better equipped to, join in confidently, share your own stories, understand others. It just makes those interactions smoother and more enjoyable.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with.
Go on.
Thinking about your own bucket list. What's really on there? And as you picture those dream destinations, maybe start thinking, how would I describe that trip? How would I tell someone about seeing that breathtaking view or trying that amazing local cuisine using the English we've talked about today?
Nice. Turning those travel dreams into conversation practice.
Exactly. It's all about building that confidence to share your adventures.